Hi everyone. I'm trying to find a good position to put my, oops, that works. Sorry for the cough. I I'm not sick. I don't know why I'm coughing, but I just got a little tickle in my throat. So, let me button up, be presentable for you guys. And I queued up episode 1 of season 7, The Day Will Come When You Won't Be. I think I'll watch most of it like this and get through it because there's a part of it I think I want to watch. I think it's the part where Rick has a dream about a team family. And that dream is very significant. I don't know if it's in this episode or in the following episode, so I have to go through the episodes to figure it out. So might as well go through it with you and see what we come up with. So let me know, guys, when you're ready, and we'll get going. It was a very hot day today. It's cool now. It was like in the 80s, guys. It was 81 degrees here in Los Angeles. So it was pretty warm. So I just had my, a very light shirt on today, but the sun is setting and it's getting cool. And here in LA at nights, early morning and nights, when the sun is not up, it gets very cold. Hi, Mary. It gets very cool, not cold, but cool. We really didn't have a winter. Our winter here is like when it rains, you know? It's cool and it's raining and everyone stays inside and go, the horror, what's that outside? It's wet. It's unfamiliar. So, yeah, so we didn't really have a winter in LA this year. It's been pretty warm. It's gotten cool now and then for a week or two, but on and off. But it's mostly been warm. Today was 81. The sun was out, very hot. Waiting for more of you guys to come in. Let me see. So Mary's here. I'm waiting for more to come in, Mary. What time is it? Oh, it started. Well, let's go ahead, Mary. It's just you and I. Well, because I'm not gonna watch most of it. I'm just gonna get through my. By the time we get to the dream that Rick has, most of the gang will be here, I think. So let's just go through it. It starts out with Rick. Let me show you. Rick is horrified. Oh, he had killed Abraham. Okay, that was so grotesque.
I'm gonna kill you.
Rick says, I'm gonna kill you.
Not today. Not tomorrow. But I'm gonna
Okay, that was that.
kill you. Simon, what do you have? A knife? You had a hatchet.
Hello,
Hatchet?
Orico.
An
Rick
axe.
is
Use
like,
axe.
that looks sharp. What is he gonna do with his axe? Gross. He's putting the bat in Rick's face. That's so gross. And it has
Be right
Abraham's
back.
blood all
And
over
Rick
it.
will be with me.
Oh,
If not,
this is when he took Rick into his
the ones that
RV.
are left.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't want to see that. That's gross. Oh my gosh. They showed Abraham's splattered brain. I'm going to skip the intro. So this is the episode because he throws Rick into the RV. The When Rick was on top of the RV, that's when Rick had his dream. So, and I'm not going to show much until it gets to the Rick's dream because I want that to play. If I show too much, YouTube would strike it. So I want all of Rick's dream to play out. So I'll share that portion of the video with you guys. I'll keep it for that.
Your best chance is to stand up, grab that axe, and drive it through the back of my head. Grab the damn axe.
He was taunting Rick to kill him with the axe while his back was turned driving the RV. And he kept taunting Rick, and Rick grabbed it, but he turned around with a machine gun to shoot Rick down. But
Don't make me get up again. I want you to think about what could have happened. Think about what happened. And think about what can still happen.
Mary, where's our gang? Rick's hair is very wet. They can't be just sweat. Oh my gosh, they're flashback. Oh, Rick is flashback into everyone. So he starts with Rosita. Gross. And this maniac is driving the RV and running over walkers, so it's splattering all over the RV. But Rick is there thinking about then he sees Glenn, and he's flashing back to all the good times with Glenn. I thought it would go in order of who Rick cares about the most, but seeing Glenn so early, and we know how much Rick loves Glenn, so it's not in order of who he knows. Hi, God loves his children. Thank you. And Rosa, hi, Rosa. So he's telling Rick, you're mine. You know, the words of a slave owner, you're mine. You know, like people are your property, dude.
Hey, Rick. Go get my axe.
So he stops and he tells Rick to go get, he throws Rick's axe out the door, and he tells Rick to go get the axe. So what I was saying before, they showed Rosita first. Rick remembering moments with Rosita, like, and then he thinks of Glenn. So I was saying, when I saw Rosita, I was like, oh, they're going to go in order of who he cares about from least to most. And it's not that he cares about her least, but you know, she's not as close to him as others. But the fact that Glenn was the second person shows me it's not the order. See, now he thinks of Sasha. If it was Rosita, then Sasha, then I would say, oh, that's the order he's going in. But it was Rosita, Glenn, then Sasha. So now Eugene, he thinks of Aaron. Okay. Then he thinks of Abraham. While he's fighting walkers, then he thinks of Maggie. Yeah, while he's fighting walkers, his mind are on his team, the people, his group that are still in the clearing. Then he thinks of, so you could say he did think of them in the order of who he was closest to, with the exception of Glenn, because Glenn would be closer. It would be like Maggie, then Glenn, then Daryl, or Daryl, then Glenn, then Michonne, then see Michonne, and we know that Carl is gonna be number one. So it was in order of those he's closest to. Hi, Sherry. So glad you guys are here. And we know he's gonna think of Carl. So it was in order. The only one that was misaligned was Glenn. Glenn shouldn't have been at, yes, there is Carl, his beating heart. Yes, this is it. Okay, let me rewind back.
Doesn't work like that, Rick.
And oh, let me go back to Michonne. Let me go back to him thinking about Michonne. There. Then he's going to think about Carl. And then the dinner fantasy is going to come to him.
Sitting around the table at Sunday dinner and happily ever after. No. Doesn't work like that, Rick.
So he's going to go back to when he chose Abraham. And I don't want to watch this again, guys. So I'm going to mute it down. See, Abraham, like, oh, this is when he's doing a stupid eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Look at Aaron. He's terrified. Yeah, it's too grotesque, Sherry. See, it was torture porn. They just wanted to revel in violence, and I can't. That this is when he turned to Abraham. And I'm not gonna watch that. Sorry, I can't watch that. Oh, there's a bird flying overhead. That was cute. I will not watch that. I will not watch that. Okay, I think Rick is back. We can't watch those things too much, guys, because it desensitizes us and it affects us. Whether we know it or not, whether we feel it instantly or not, looking and ingesting things like that, seeing another human being brutalized, whether it's fiction or real life, brutalized or killed or abused or whatever, it affects you. It becomes a part of you, and it can damage you, whether psychologically, where you start to get desensitized to each other as human beings and our value, so I can't, it hurts, and I don't want to come to a point where seeing something like that doesn't hurt or doesn't affect me deeply. So I don't want to watch. And this is what turned off the majority of the Walking Dead general audience. They did not enjoy. This was not entertainment. To You can have a murder because that's a part of this world, the apocalyptic world, but you don't have to. You can film it in a way where the audience knows this crime is committed. But to have the audience live it and endure it and see it, and then do it in such a way to make it sort of seem an entertainment and cool, that's crossing the line. And that's what they did. In the comics, it was very immature. That's I think Glenn got off the line, so that's what's playing right now. In the comics, it was very immature, the writing, and it was drawn to appeal to juvenile boys, or young boys or teenage boys that like grotesque stuff and think grotesque stuff is cool. You're gonna expect that. Well, you shouldn't, but that's the type of audience they were appealing to with the comics, and that's the type of audience that appreciated it. But you have a large audience in television. The Walking Dead had a huge audience, like 15, 18 million. So everyone is watching. Families, young people, older people, every demographic is watching The Walking Dead. It was the show to watch. And you have to be more sophisticated in your approach, and you have to know you can relay the horror of a situation and the impact it would have on the characters in the story without horrifying the audience. You can horrify the audience because an act of injustice is happening, a cruel, degrading, terrible murder, killing is happening, and it's a part of the brutality of the world. But you can portray that, and also portray the devastation it enacted on the characters without making it, the act itself, glorified entertainment. And that's what the direction did. They tried to uh imitate the crassness and the immatureness and the grossness of the comics, and you're trying to do that to a more general, casual audience that are not
watching the show for that purpose, to be grossed out, to glory in the grotesque. And it takes someone sophisticated, some it doesn't even take someone sophisticated. It takes someone with a common sense and decency and an understanding of their audience to know that, and the director obviously did not know that. The director leaned into the grossness, leaned into the entertainment value of the violence. And the result was The Walking Dead lost its audience. They were like, this is not a serious show. This is not a show that I would dare to spend my time watching. Sherry said, and I believe The Walking Dead lingered too long around the death scene. They prolonged the story, in my opinion. Yeah, they found the death entertaining. They found they saw it as torture porn and entertainment, instead of telling the story of the horror that is an horror. But it's portraying they're not saying it's a horror. They're saying, oh, look at this awesome gruesomeness. They were relishing and enjoying the horror and wanted the audience. They thought that was the reception the audience would have, because that's how they think. And they agreed with the original, where it was taken from, the comics, which was written to appeal to immature minds, immature, unsophisticated minds. And The Walking Dead lost a half of its audience because of it. So, okay, I didn't see that. Thank God. I used the phone to block the screen. And Rick is lying on the RV. He is like devastated. And I want to see when the dream happens. I hope I didn't miss the dream because I was trying not to look. So yeah, the Walking Dead lost its audience, the majority of its audience, and they never came back. It was like watching someone gleefully kill their loved one and enjoy it and expect them to enjoy it. Hi, Rashida. We're watching episode 1. Well, we're Sherry and I are hiding. I'm not really watching it, and the only reason I'm going through it is because to discuss that dream sequence that Rick had about his family. Did I miss it, guys?
So glad you're here, Rashida. Oh my gosh, they're showing all of them getting clobbered. So during when this was being aired, during the season 6, episode 16 finale, a lot of people were trying to figure out what happened and who died, right? There was a lot of speculation. And I think they filmed all of the characters getting bashed in the head so that there wouldn't be any leaks of which characters really died. So a lot of people saw, they got glimpses of some of the characters. They're like, no, it's this one. I saw it. But no one knew who, because they actually they actually had all of the characters get bashed in the head. So Rick got the axe and he's back in the RV now. But I don't know if the dream happened because I was hiding. I hope it hasn't happened yet, because that's the only reason I'm watching episode 1 of season 7. They're headed back to the clearing. So Rick and Negan are in the RV heading back to the clearing. Yeah, well, the director should not have done the scenes to fit the comics to try to play up the entertainment factor. Greg Nicotero to play up the entertainment factor of that kill, of Abraham's and Glenn's kill. It killed the show. So that was stupid of them. Hi, Cam J. So they're back at the clear. We're watching episode 1, Cam J, season 7. And the reason is that I wanted to discuss the dream sequence that Rick had on the RV. But for some reason, I think I missed it because I wasn't watching the other scenes. But I'm just going to let it play out. And if anything, go back and try and find that scene. Because I want to get through this episode. I don't want to linger on it. So I'm just letting it go through. I'm not pausing. So grotesque. Rick keeps looking at Michonne. Did you guys notice that? You know what helped make the scenes more like make them look even more terrified? They were freezing. You can see it. You saw Carl. He was just like, oh my God. And Rick keeps shaking. They're freezing. Michonne, she's like, they're terrified, but the cold is making them shiver, which helps their performance. And I'm not enjoying Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance. I'm not. I don't know if it's because the dialogue is so corny. We're right at he just put the tourniquet, the belt around Carl's arm, Rashida. He took Rick back he took him out of the RV, and he's kneeling, and he took Carl and put Carl in front of him, put the belt around his arm. He's gonna now ask Rick to chop off Carl's arm. So that's where we are. It's his performance, Cam J. And no, it wasn't over the top. I think it's the dialogue. Oh my gosh, it just went back. Oh, I paused it quickly and it just went back. I think it's the dialogue, and I think he's having a hard time making the dialogue, that such a corny dialogue, sound cool or tough. It just isn't meshing for me. God loves his children. So many people think the opposite, but I'm not seeing it here. It's gimmicky. So, and the immature minds would love that gimmicky, but it's just not. Yeah, it's just not hitting. It doesn't seem authentic. And I don't know if it could be authentic. I don't know if another actor could pull it off. Michonne is begging for Carl. She's saying, we understand. You don't have to cut his arm. Rick is begging for Carl, and I don't want to see that. I can't. Oh my gosh. I detest this character so much. And people's reveling and loving his character. It's just sick. So God loves his children. I can't make a determination on the actor's general ability because I haven't seen the actor in other things. But in this characterization, I don't think it was a good performance. He was buoyed up by the performance of Andrew Lincoln. Because if Andrew Lincoln didn't humble himself and just gave his all as in submission as Rick, this would just come out as like a cartoon caricature. It's still a cartoon caricature, but the Rick's performance sold Negan as it helped the audience buy into his performance. Let's put it that way. And Maggie's performance also. Maggie's devastation and Rick's devastation helped. Without it, it would just be like, okay, I whatever. The devastation of the characters helped and hurt because again, the director was playing up the horror and the violence as entertaining. And no audience wants to see a loved one hurt, their hurt, be used as entertainment. They didn't see it as entertainment. It should have been played for the horror that it was. And as I said, it wasn't. The director is playing towards a comic audience, an immature audience, an an audience that celebrates violence and grossness. You can't play that for a general audience. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's most people don't watch things to be, most people aren't entertained by, don't find joy in violence against another person. You can project, tell the truth of the world that there's horror and there's violence and how it affects the characters, as I was saying before. But that's different than playing up the violence itself as something cool and something to be enjoyed. It's just, and that's how the director played it. And that's why The Walking Dead lost half of their audience after this episode. So the saviors are leaving now, and Maggie's devastation and Rick's devastation affected the audience. We saw how the ones we love were, devastated, but the audience was devastated because they loved. It's like seeing a loved one being murdered, but the murder being played, and they're being told by the director, don't, isn't this cool? Aren't you enjoying this? Look at that. You see that fracture of brain, you see this and that. Isn't that cool? Very unsophisticated thinking, very juvenile, rudimentary, just grotesque thinking. He didn't understand his audience. And the showrunner and the executive should have intervened. But again, who's to tell if they have that same immature mind, like the audience that the comic is geared towards. So, but they certainly learned, because the general audience was like, what the heck is this? This is some sick shit. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my language. I don't usually curse. Rick is telling Maggie to go home, and Maggie's saying, get everybody ready, we're gonna fight. She's in shock. She can't believe it. She's time to go back to Alexandria and get ready to come and fight. They gave this powerful episode into the hands of a director that did not understand his audience. And common sense would tell you that people do not enjoy relishing being entertained by the violence. It's different than understanding the understanding that the violence is happening and understanding how the characters are affected. But they wanted the audience to celebrate and be impressed by the violence. And wrong audience, and you don't get millions, 18 million viewers who are going to have that mindset. You should understand. That's why when the bigger the audience, the safer the show has to be. And when I say the safer the show, you can't take as many risks. You can't be a niche writer or a niche director. You have to cater to a wide demographic: kids, adults, different races, different ethnicities, different people with different beliefs. That's why kids' family films are so just, mostly safe and bland. The story doesn't have to be bland. It's a drama. It's a horror drama set in the apocalypse. But boy, did they miss the mark trying to make horror and murder cool and entertaining against people that we have come to love. Handing over the such an important piece of the narrative to Greg Nicotero was the biggest mistake. And Scott Gimple should have had more common sense. And he's, he should have put on a little bit more sophisticated cap and know your audience and know what you're doing. It's not, you can't handle such a big show like this in such a cavalier and cheap way. And it's they pay the consequences, and they didn't learn. They doubled down. They doubled down. This was a show that was afraid to use the F word because of the huge and general audience that they have. Here's the dream sequence. Let me pause. So one of the things that the show did earlier on with you guys weren't here yet, but we were discussing, and I want to repeat it for you guys because it has to do with our Ricky Doodah Grimes. And it was, remember I told you how sometimes they frame things to show who is closest to Rick. Well, Rick, when the episode started, uh, Negan took Rick into the RV and he drove away, and then he threw the Rick's axe out of the RV and pushed Rick out and said, "Go get my axe," right? When Rick got out of the RV, Rick started thinking about his loved ones at the clearing. And the first person that came to Rick's thought was Rosita. And he thought about Rosita, and he flashed back to times with Rosita, like seeing Rosita laugh and the interaction she had with the group. So he was reminiscing about Rosita. Then the next person they showed, when I saw Rosita, I was like, oh, they're going to show the people at the clearing in the order of who is closest to Rick. And so they showed Rosita. But then when they showed Glenn, it sort of threw me off my, what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I think I'm wrong, because Glenn wouldn't be so far down the ladder. He wouldn't be next to Rosita. He would be closer to the ones closest to Rick. So I was like, oh, so my thinking or my guess is off. But then the next person they showed was after Glenn, it was Sasha. So I was like, okay. And he reminisced about Sasha with the group. And then the next person they showed was, I think, Aaron. No, it was Eugene. Either Eugene or Aaron. And then it was, so Eugene, yeah, it was Eugene. And then it showed Aaron. And then it showed Abraham. And then it showed Maggie. Then it showed Daryl. So I was like, I was right. The only thing that threw it off was Glenn after Rosita. So if you took Glenn out, it would be who is closest to Rick from least to the most. So it's, so then it was, so it was Maggie, then it was Daryl, then it was Michonne, and he was reminiscing to moments with Michonne and even being in bed with her that morning, when they were playing Adam and Eve with the apple. So it was Michonne, and then Carl, which is, I was just like, oh, so I was right. They just, Glenn was thrown in there beside Rosita, which threw it off. But anyway, so that was one thing I wanted to go over, because I don't think some of you were here when I was discussing that. So then the reason why I watched the episode was for this scene. And it starts at, hold on, let me go back so I don't want to miss. So Maggie's standing looking at, she's standing between the two blood spots
of where Abraham and Glenn were killed. So then I'm going to continue, and this is the only 2 minutes and 32 seconds left in the episode. So let's go. So this is the last part of the dream. So there's another part of the dream that I missed. If it doesn't play at the end of this episode, then it was in the part where he was on top of the RV and I was covering my eye. This is Rick's vision. When I say dream, this is what Rick is visualizing in his mind for the future. So Rick is driving away in the RV and he sees a Walker go up to the blood splatter. Walker's eating the blood splatter. Rick is just devastated. He's broken. I'll turn down the music so that I don't get, yeah, there you go. That they don't ban the video. He's broken. Rick's beautiful eyes looks horrified. They love to do close up on Rick's eyes because it's so gorgeous and so expressive. All right, so let me go through the episode and see if I can find, he's on the rooftop. Okay, this was the scene where Rick was thinking about his group. It was when he was laying on the top of the RV, thinking about what could have been, what the hopes and dreams he had for his group. Are you guys here? I couldn't get back. I got disconnected. Okay, you guys are still here? Okay, I'm trying to find the episode. I don't know what happened, but I'm trying to find not the episode, the scene. And oh gosh, it's letting me go back through the grotesque. Oh no, you guys left. I'm so sorry. For some reason, I couldn't connect. Okay, Rashida, you're still here. Sherry's still here. Good. Okay, God loves his children. Okay, Cam J's still here. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm trying to get to that scene. I don't know what part of the episode it's in. He's still on the roof and he's remembering the grotesqueness. I'm trying not to see it. I don't want that to get into my spirit. That's not good. So, cause I want to see the first part of the dream. Cause the first part of the dream had Michonne walking to Rick with a bottle of wine or champagne in her hands, and she had on a white bohemian dress, and I want to see it. I haven't seen that scene in a while, so I don't want to miss that. Hi, Constant. Yay. Good to see you, Constant. If anyone finds the first part of Rick's vision, minutes, the exact moment in the episode where that scene shows up. So I'm trying to find it without watching the show. So it's pretty tough. It's like, I don't want to see the murders. Thank you, Rashida. Yeah, I don't think the dream happens here, Rashida. Did you find it? Did any one of you find it? Because I don't want to go through this episode anymore. They're just bashing their heads in. And I had made the point that they had filmed all of the characters getting killed by Negan so that there wouldn't be any spoilers for the 7-1, the cliffhanger, the 616 cliff. Yeah, I saw all of this. He went back into the RV and then, yeah, the dream didn't come then. So So anyway, guys, I was trying to find the beginning of the dream to share it with you, because those are the two things I wanted to share with you, the dream. And that's the only reason I watched the episode. So, and I can't find it. I can't watch it, all of it, to tell you exactly where the dream is. So what it was is that Rick was visualizing, because when Negan was taunting him about what Rick's vision for the future was, one of the things that was clear, Rick was thinking about, what did I envision the future for everyone in my group?
And the dream started with Michonne walking through the grass in Alexandria to a table, and she was wearing a very long um, gown. She passed Abraham and Sasha sitting at on a bench on the lawn, and they greeted each other, and Glenn's son, Maggie and Glenn's son, was playing with a toy car in the street, and Glenn was playing with him. So this was Rick envisioning what the future could have been for the two people he lost in the group. But in that vision, it also had a vision for his life, what he wanted for himself. And he saw Michonne in the vision walking towards him. And she was wearing a white halter bohemian dress, and in her hands was a bottle of champagne or wine, whatever. And she was walking towards him. So that was Rick's dream of what he envisioned, hoped for in the future. That was his utopia, his ideal. You know, you guys think of your greatest dream. What's the greatest vision you have for your life, your future? That was what Rick was seeing, and what could have been, and what he saw slipping out of his hand. Abraham was gone. Glenn was gone. So the future that Abraham would have with a pregnant Sasha, because he envisioned that for them, that they would start a family, and he knew that uh, even though Sasha and Abraham's relationship was new, Rick knew because of that talk that Abraham had with Rick at the gate, when Rick was waiting for Michonne to return, when he was really worried, and Abraham saw his desperation for Michonne to come home. And then he started talking to Rick mano a mano, about, can he do this again, in a sense that, can you love again? Because the with love comes the risk of losing that love, especially in the world that they're in. Because, for everything that they've gone through with Terminus, and what Abraham went through, how he lost his wife, and he was fighting marauders, and he knows that even not just with the zombies, it's not a safe world. There's just, society has devolved, and the evil and the degenerates who are out there, like Negan and the governors and the Terminus people and the claimers and all of that. Abraham had encountered that with people that he defended his family against, yet his family was horrified. His wife was horrified. They were terrified of Abraham because what he had to do to keep them safe, how he had to kill other people to keep them safe. So Abraham was basically asking Rick, are you ready to do this again? Can you? And Rick said yes. That means, yes, he's ready to risk his heart being torn out of his chest, if, in the terms of, if, loving Michonne could mean that he could be heartbroken again. Yes, he was ready to risk it all again. And Abraham said, me too. So he knew how, Rick identified and knew how Abraham felt about Sasha, because Abraham identified to Rick and was, made Rick know that he identified with him, that he knows that Rick loves Michonne, is in love with Michonne, and wants a future with Michonne, because that's what Abraham wants with Sasha. So he knew. So he envisioned that, and he already know about Maggie and Glenn, and knew that, knew that about them, that they wanted the type of love that Rick had for Michonne is the love where he wants a life with her as his wife and a future with her. So when he told Carl, uh, when Carl found out about he and Michonne, when Carl said this is different, that's also what this indicates, that the love that he has for Michonne is a love where I'm gonna live the rest of my life with her. She's my future. The same like how Glenn wanted a future with Maggie and Abraham wanted with a future with Sasha. You know, men know the woman they want to marry. If a guy is with you and he's giving you the runaround and delaying and everything, it doesn't take a guy to know, long to know, this is the woman that I want to be live the rest of my life with. It does not take long to know. So that's why he said to Carl, this is different, because for Rick, Michonne is his future, his wife, his this is the love where he's going to build a life with her. He's not going to be playing games. He's not going to be just, um hooking up or want to hook up or using her for something, like how he was using Jesse. No, this is different. This is a forever, love you forever, my wife, want children with her type of love. This is different. So in the dream where he was grieving the loss of Abraham and Glenn and the future he knew they wanted, and the future Rick was also grieving the future he wanted, he saw slipping out of his hand. And the indication of that was Michonne walking towards him in that halter bohemian dress, where she is walking towards him with the wine, and he greets her and he helps her sit at the table. And at this table, where he puts Michonne on his right hand, right? He puts Michonne at his right hand. Rick is at the head of the table as the head of the group, as the leader of the community, and also the leader of his family. So he puts the family, the family he wants to create with Michonne, the future he wants to create with Michonne. So he seats Michonne on his right, and he's and um Abraham, I don't remember if in the first part of the vision, if Abraham was already seated. Not Abraham, sorry, Father Gabriel. I don't know if Gabriel was already seated or Gabriel walked up to the table, but at the latter part of the vision, where, hold on, let me go. I can't believe I can't find the first part of this dream. This dream is so iconic. I don't know why we can't find it. But anyway, so at 2:23 in the remaining. So yes. So the latter part of the dream, we see Rick sitting at the table, and Michonne is at his right, Father Gabriel is at his left. And the reason why Father Gabriel is at his left hand side is because this is a wedding dinner. This is a wedding reception. Rick is envisioning the future. This is the hope of the future that he has. His personal most deepest desire. Rick is giving us an insight into that, into his mind and his heart and his hopes and his dreams. So Rick's hope and dream is not only for his community to be at peace and living and communing and fellowshipping together. It's them celebrating with him his future with Michonne, his love for her, his desire for her to be his legally wedded wife. So Michonne to his right, which also it sort of um puts an end cap to that. Remember the episode where I think it was No Way Out, where they were trapped inside the house, and Rick and Michonne went to the balcony to look over, to look down at the horde that was trying to get into Jesse's house. And while they were looking down over the balcony together, Gabriel came and looked down with them. And I was like, yep, that's the wedding. Father Gabriel, the thread of Gabriel with Rick and Michonne, the thread that started where Rick is going to constantly be wanting that marriage between him and Michonne to happen by Gabriel, because Rick wanted to make it official. And so that was the first hint that I saw there. I was like, oh my gosh, Rick and Michonne are going to get married and Gabriel is going to marry them. But, you know, even though Gabriel wasn't the one that actually got to marry them, you know, Rick just did the ceremony had an intimate ceremony between him and Michonne. And he declared, you know, he did it while making love to her. That was his wedding ceremony. And he put the ring on her to let her know she is his wife for, you know, the rest of their lives. And, you know, it's a very, very uber intimate wedding ceremony. Rick did it body and soul. He united himself to Michonne in body and soul. He did it in the most intimate act two human beings can commit. A man and a woman have making love. You know, the Bible said the two will become one, not just in body, but in spirit. And that's what Rick did with Michonne to declare her his wife. So the only part that Gabriel played was that he got the ring after the ring that he was going to present to Rick to give to Michonne actually got to Rick. So he didn't preside over the wedding, but it was a wedding in body and spirit and soul. And Rick did the ceremony himself with Michonne. So, and that was in The Ones Who Live, episode 6, that Rick officially married Michonne, but in his heart and in his mind they were already wedded. And that was his desire from the moment. It was his desire before they became an official couple. And once, as I said, once Michonne gave Rick the go ahead, it was over. Michonne was his whether she knew it or not, she was his forever. Rick was not going to play around, because this is what he's always wanted. And that's why he told Carl, this is different. This is for life. And here we finally got one of the things that The Walking Dead did not do well was that they did not explore Rick and Michonne's relationship enough as a show. They did not delve into their relationship. They did not delve into what they were thinking. And because they didn't allow them to speak to each other, they didn't allow them to speak to other people about each other as they afforded other characters to do. They didn't do that for the main character of the show. It made no sense. They literally deprived the main character, Rick Grimes, from exploring his character, his relationship, one of the most important relationship for him. So we had no access to what he was thinking, and that started from episode from season 5, the latter part of season 5, as soon as he got to Alexandria, they stopped exploring their relationship. They had beats, they had relationship beats, but they didn't explore it. It was not character driven like how in season 1 you had no doubt of what Rick was thinking. You had no doubt of what Lori was thinking. You had no doubt about what Shane was thinking, as those were the core characters. So the core relationship and how they related to each other was very important, and that's what drew viewers in. We It was organic, it was character driven, and we were knee deep into the drama. We were fascinated because they fed us, they told us, and we were like, oh, okay, so this is what she's thinking and this is what he's doing. Does Rick, why doesn't, we were playing armchair psychologists, and we were into the drama because they explored the characters. They didn't do that for Rick and Michonne. And so, but they just played beats. So here is one of the rare instances we got access to Rick's heart and Rick's mind. And we got to see and understand what Rick's heart's desire was. And his heart's desire was what he wanted to see for Team Family, and especially the two that he was grieving, and what he was grieving, what they would not have. The family that he knew they wanted, the future he knew they wanted. And he gave us a glimpse of his future that he wanted to share with them. And the future he wanted was to be married to Michonne, and for the group to celebrate and have a part of, to celebrate what mattered to him most: his love for Michonne, his love for his children, and him getting his family and being a family with Michonne and Carla and Judith, and the rest of the group celebrating in that. That was Rick's deepest heart's desire. And we're going to see in the future, every time Rick dreams, one of the main things Rick dreams about, and one of the main things Rick's hope for the future, what the main hope for Rick's future is to be with Michonne, is to be married, to have a family, to create a future with her. And we're going to see that in the honeymoon episode, where they call it the honeymoon episode because they're like, after, they didn't really get a honeymoon period when they got together. Because right after this, they got together soon after Negan came and devastated them, and they were mourning. So they weren't, making, having sex or making love or anything like that. So they didn't get a chance to be a brand new couple in that honeymoon period. So when they went on the scavenger hunt, when Michonne pulled Rick back, and Rick was ready to fight again, and he started feeling like himself again, that's when they started making love again, because they had hope. They thought there was a future, and they were like, oh my gosh, I love you, whatever. So it was like a honeymoon. They couldn't get it. They were constantly ripping each other's clothes off. They were constantly having intercourse. But when they got to that place and they were eating military food, Rick proposed to Michonne. That was his first proposal, where he asked her to be his wife, to have a future with him, to be with him and have a future together. He literally proposed marriage to Michonne. And she said yes. She said yes. He just didn't propose with a ring. We got the information. Where did we get the information? In The Ones Who Live, not in The Walking Dead. That one of the reason away from the future of the bridge, why Rick was so married to that bridge, so that bridge was so important to him that they were building, was that not only was he creating a bridge for the communities to trade and come together, but he wanted that symbol of a future of civilization being able to come back together. It again coincided with his heart's desire to have a future with Michonne. He was, as Gabriel told Jadis, that Rick wanted to get married to Michonne on the bridge. He wanted Gabriel to officiate their wedding on that bridge. So outlook for the future always led back to Michonne, having a future with her. That was his greatest desire. That was his dream, his ultimate dream for himself, his deepest desire is to have a future and build a family with Michonne in a society that is starting to be eventualized. You know, he wanted a future, but he wanted a future and a life with Michonne. He always envisioned that. That was Michonne was Rick's end game, and that's his deepest desire. So that's why we saw in The One Who Lived what tethered him to reality, why Michonne was so important to Rick, why he dreamed of her to stay, to give him hope for the future, because she was his future. She was his desire. She was his dream. She was his literal ultimate, his deepest, I don't want to say darkest, but it's not darkest. It's like your ultimate. Think about what your ultimate desire is, that it would fulfill everything to you, and it's closest to your heart. It's your great. That's Michonne. That's for Rick, it's Michonne. A future and a life with her. And that's why he could easily tell her she was the love of his life, and she is. He loves Michonne like he's never loved another woman. She is it for him. And The Walking Dead gave glimpses of it, but they didn't explore it. That's why the latter part of The Walking Dead was not as great as the first part, because it was not character, the writing was not character driven. Because if it was, we'll get these deep understanding of the characters. So we were like, oh, so this is why such and such is doing this. This is why Rick is like this. But they did not want to focus on Rick and Michonne like they focused on Rick, Lori, and Shane. And yet, money makers, that was the winning form, got people coming back. It was the drama. It was a relationship drama with Rick, Shane, and Lori. And then when Shane and Lori was gone, it was Rick, Michonne, and the governor, the ridiculous foolishness of Andrea. It was about the character. We cared and we understood because of these relationships. And then on the road, it was Rick, Michonne, and how, the survival aspect of the road. But we were getting deeper into Rick and Michonne, and then they torpedoed it all in season 6 going onwards, because they were just trying to shock and to do shock twists and cliffhangers and whatever. They forgot what people tuned in for. The formula, that was it. And then The Ones Who Live reverted back to that formula. It was the relationship. They micro focused on Rick and Michonne. But I do think if they on Rick and Michonne's relationship, because that's the foundation of The Ones Who Live. Just like it was a foundation, Lori, Shane, and Rick was a foundation of The Walking Dead. But when Lori and Shane left, it was Rick and Michonne, and Daryl in some and the relationship with these people. So amongst these characters. So the foundation for the ones who live, they went back to basic because they lost sight the winning formula for the Walking Dead, and they shortchanged Rick and Michonne. Denai and Andy created the ones who live to to correct that and to go back to basics, and they micro focused on Rick and Michonne and did a lot of corrections there, and they micro focused on the relationship. That's why they said it was a love story. Now that they put that foundation under the ones who live, if they do continue the ones who live, then they can go from there. You know, they can create stories from there. It doesn't have the season two may not be about, it may not be about the love story, but the love story is already the foundation. So they don't have to have that micro focus on the love story anymore because that's already foundational. Just like in season two of The Walking Dead, the foundation was already the relationship with Rick, Shane, and Lori, and how that informed them as people. So when they're in season two, and the focus was not the relationship drama, it was more on their, you know, how are they going to survive now, but the foundation informed it. So they won't focus on the love story if they do a season two because the foundation is already there. So, and that's what they were missing in The Walking Dead in the latter half when Rick and Michonne became a couple. They needed to focus some on their relationship because that would be the foundation, but they didn't do that, and it shortchanged the show. And so there we are. So yeah, I just wanted to share. Maybe, what I just thought, maybe the first half of the vision, the wedding feast vision, the wedding reception vision was not in the episode. I kept looking for it, but it just occurred to me that it was a scene that was cut, and I think they put it on the DVD of the season. So it's a scene that was not a part of the episode per se, but we saw it afterwards with Michonne walking towards Rick greeting her and seating her at the table, and he sits at the head of the table, she's at to his right, and Gabe sits to Rick's left. And we see that, they're having a feast with the priest there, Michonne in white. It was a wedding reception, and it was Rick's deepest heart's desire for the future. So, what do you guys think? So that was the episode. We're done with that episode. I want to see what you guys have to say about it. If I do find that scene, I will upload it to this channel and my new channel, which is The Walking Dead Tales and Takes. So if I do find it, I'll upload it. Are you guys here? I don't see any comments. Okay, hold on. I missed so many. Cam J, guys, I didn't see the comments. I just touched the screen and the comments just came up. Cam J said, "Are you sure it was in this episode?" I just realized, Cam J, I don't think. And Rashida said, "Key details is that dream sequence." Cam J said, "I remember the image of Michonne walking towards the table, but could they have cut that section?" Yes, they did, Cam J. I wish I had seen this before because I was just yapping away. Rashida said, "Maybe I'm still looking and I don't see it." Sherry said, "What a shame. It would have been so well received if the writers would have explored their story." Maybe that's why I kind of want a season 2 of The Ones Who Live, to explore who they are now. Yeah, Sherry, that would be nice. But I'm afraid of them. Diane! Oh my gosh, Diane. Lovely to see you.
She said, I just saw the live stream and comments. That dream sequence was edited down on the show. The full scene is over 3 minutes long, and you can find it on The Walking Dead deleted scenes. Thank you, Diane. I'll look for it. And Rashida said, darn, that means you either have to buy the Walking Dead DVD series or find clips on YouTube. Diane said, sadly, right. That's where I'm going to try to find it. I didn't buy those DVDs at all. The only DVD I bought was The Ones Who Live. The creators, Rashida said, the creators of The Walking Dead did not know what they're doing. Taking out swearing words, that would have helped the episode. They cut out a scene in season 7 that they should have kept in, was Rick, Michonne, and Carl talking about the fight against Negan. Yes, I remember that scene too. It's just ridiculous what they cut out and what they kept. Rashida said, I'm here. Yes, I just didn't see any comments. When I touched the phone, they all popped up. So I missed what you guys were saying. And yes, you were right. It was a deleted scene, and I kept thinking it was in the episode. So my fault. I was wrong. So yeah, guys, so that was it. Any other comments? If not, I'm gonna end the stream for this, and I want to do a watch along for the video that I put up on my new channel. It's I already put it on the Patreon the other day. It was a longer version of the short that I already put off Patreon. And I'm going to put the short on the new The Walking Dead Tales and Take channel also. But I've put up the 4-minute video. So it's pretty short. The new name of the channel is The Walking Dead Tales and Takes. So TWD, TA, and that's one word. And then you have TALES, Tales, and Takes, TAKES. The Walking Dead Tales and Takes. If someone has the link to the channel, could you put it in the comments of this live or in the live chat so people can click on it? Because I'm gonna just I'm gonna end this chat, go over there, we'll watch that scene really quick, and we'll discuss it. If you guys want to do that, or you want us to do it another day. If you don't want to do it tonight, we can do it another day, because it's a short, I think it's 4 minutes, so it won't be a long stream. It'll probably be 10 minutes most. MH, hi MH, I didn't see you. MH said, I just found it on season 7, episode 1 at the 43-48 mark. I have it on Fandango at home. There is a dream sequence in the episode. This is of them seated. The one that I was talking about was when Rick saw Michonne walking across the lawn, and Abraham and Sasha were seated on the bench at the edge, and they were seated there. Michonne says hi to them. She had a bottle of champagne in her hands, and she was walking towards a table. No one was seated at the table yet, at least I don't think. And Rick greeted her at the table, and then, made her, had her seated to his right. Oh, Rashida said another day. Okay, so we'll discuss that video another day then, Rashida. So guys, any other notations about this episode or the dream sequence, or anything you want to discuss about The Walking Dead before we end this chat? This was a short one finally. Oh, Rashida said she still wants to see the dream sequence and write notes about it. Okay, Rashida. But I don't know when I'll find the new one and post it. Oh, Constance said she can do a watch along on the 1st. The 1st is when? Sunday? Because today's the 30th, tomorrow's the 31st, and the 1st would be Sunday. I'll just leave it for, another. So you remember it, MH. Yeah, but it looks like it wasn't in the episode. It was a deleted scene. And I think maybe they played it on The Talking Dead. Because remember, The Talking Dead was big. After every episode, of the ones who live, we were all racing to watch the Talking Dead so that we could discuss what happened. And this was a big episode. Okay, so write in the comments what you think about it. Okay. And you already saw it, Rashida, because I posted on Patreon first. So you want to discuss it, Sherry, in a live? So Sherry wants to do it in a live, and Rashida wants to write in the comments. Well, as I said, it's really short, so maybe it doesn't warrant a live. But what we can do, as I said, the next episode of The Walking Dead that we do a live for, we can discuss it at, if you guys want to, we can do it. We can discuss it after. Or as Rashida said, do it both. Yeah, we don't have to have a separate live for a 4-minute video. So yeah, we'll do it as an addendum if you guys want to the next episode. Rashida said we can skip to episode 3. Episode 2 is about Morgan and Carol going to the kingdom. Oh my gosh, thank you for letting me know. So do you guys agree with that? Episode 3, the next episode for The Walking Dead? Season 7, episode 3. You guys have to remind me though, because I may forget by next week. I have so much going on, guys. Oh my gosh, I have so much going on. And I can't tell you yet what's going on until it happens. Then you'll see why it's just like, oh my gosh, I have so much going on. So yeah. Because some of it, there's big changes happening for me. So it's just like, some of it you'll see, some of it soon. But Cam J's not a fan of episode 3. Episode 4 is all about Daryl. I'm not watching that. I think it's that one where he's in the prison, where he's at the Savior's compound. Not a fan of Savior heavy episodes. Nope. Or episode 2. So Cam J is not a fan of episode 2, and she's not a fan of episode 3. So you guys have to vote what episode I do next. Okay, Constant. So Mary says episode 3. Diane said episode 3. Rashida said let's hop to episode 5 when Negan gets to Alexandria. What is in episode 3? I have no idea. Episode 2 is the well. 2 of the survivors arrive at the kingdom, a seemingly idyllic new community headed by a leader with a flair of dramatic. 3 is the cell, and Alexandria imprisoned at the Savior Compound learns how Dwight became one of Negan's men, refuses to go down that path. 4 is service. When the Saviors pay a visit to Alexandria to see supplies, the group looks to Rick for a way out. Father Gabriel thinks on his feet. So episode 4 then. In episode 4, yeah. MH says episode 4. Diane says Negan goes to Alexandria in episode 4. So yeah, I hate any episode with Negan, but at least Rick is in it, and I think Michonne is in it. I'm not sure, but let's do episode 4. The well and the cell I can miss. Rashida said let's do episode 4. Sherry said episode 5 would be good. What was this episode? Go Get Us. Gregory arrives at the hilltop. Uh-oh, why is it? I didn't want to see it. Shoot. Gregory arrives at the hilltop and orders Maggie and Sasha to leave while Rick goes on a supply run. Carl sets out on a mission of his own. Let's do 4 then 5. Sherry says 5 would be good. Cam J said 4. So Constance said, I agree with you on how they took so much from the characters after season 5. I really wish we got a talk with Rick and Michonne about her losing Andre. So much. Can you imagine Michonne lost her baby and there's no conversation with Rick and her about it? That makes no sense. And Mary says 4. Sherry says 4. Rashida says 4 and 5. So let's agree. I'll put 4 so that next time I come in my car, what plays will be episode 4. There we go. All right. So awesome, guys. Oh, what happened? The light went out. So thank you guys so much for taking time out of your valuable time, your time is valuable, and spending it with me, and sticking with me, and sticking sticking with me going through the show and my wonky channel. So Diane says, "4 is where Rick talks to Michonne at the end about who Judith's father is, and that Rishon kiss." Rashida says, "I'm going on find that dream sequence so I can write it in my notes." If you find it, Rashida, could you put the link in your comment under this live so that I will know, please? Thank you. I can, I can do something with it. So yes, thank you, Diane. So it's the talk between Rick and Michonne. Okay, so episode 4 it is then. So that will be our next live, hopefully on Friday. I'll let you guys know ahead of time if we're gonna do it, and hope to see you then. And take care, everyone. And thank you again. And I love you. Be good to yourself, okay? Dangerous times, dangerous world, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it with each other. Don't forget, God is able. God is able, and he'll protect you. Just lean into him, and seek him and depend on him. That's what I do.